Hello everyone, my name is John and I am so excited to have you back here with me in my library today. Today's a very special video. We're going to continue on with Short Fiction February with probably the first real major short fiction that I read this month, that being The Death of Ivan Ilyich by Leo Tolstoy. I really enjoyed this work. I thought it was a work of genius that Tolstoy put out. Of course, Tolstoy is the famed author of Anna Karenina and War and Peace. I have not read Anna Karenina, but I have read War and Peace, and that is one of my favorite books ever written. And I think that I think War and Peace is a great sweeping epic, but The Death of Ivan Ilyich provides the same philosophical and psychological insight that War and Peace does, but on a much smaller scale. Not that they're about the same things per se, but they provide the same level of detail. The Death of Ivan Ilyich is a novella. It is a short novel that is dedicated to telling the story of the titular character, Ivan. It begins very interestingly enough. It begins after he has died. He was a lawyer in Russia in the 1800s, and his co-workers and whatnot are as the novella opens, are standing around and they're talking about his passing. Secretly, as Tolstoy said, they're all really thinking more so about what sort of promotion that they may be able to get out of this. Then we follow one particular gentleman, Peter Ivanovich, who was a close friend and co-worker of Ivan Ilyich, and he goes to Ivan's house to see the body, participate in the funeral ceremony, and to provide a word of comfort to his widow. And the entire interaction is really rather comical. He's trying to draw out the little things that just make, unfortunately, what make funerals and things of that nature awkward for those of us who have not died. Who attend and whether we may or may not want to admit it, who would rather be elsewhere. I think Leo Tolstoy is providing a subtle wink at you when he's describing these things, because it's uncomfortable. He mentions how Peter Ivanovich sits on a seat with springs that just don't work right. They're kind of bucking against him. He describes how the wife is upset and crying, and he just stands and feels kind of awkward. He knows that there's nothing he can do to fix the problem or change anything, but wants to help. And so his solution is to keep crossing himself repeatedly, because that seems like a good, righteous thing to do when you're in that situation. So the whole scene is beautifully drawn out and awkward. All the while, Peter Ivanovich is thinking about leaving and going to a card game. That's all he really wants to do. And so I think by using humor in the opening portion, he begins to describe how sometimes we all are about life and death. That death at times makes us uncomfortable, and we would rather avoid it than confront it 99% of the time. And so from there, we turn the clock back and we look at Ivan Ilyich life. And the fascinating thing is that Ivan Ilyich is in many ways very similar to, or just like, Peter Ivanovich. he wants what anybody else wants. Keeping up with the Joneses would be how he would be best described. Of course, he wants to get ahead in his career. He wants to be the best. He wants to, let's put it this way, be a member of eminent high society, but doesn't often give thought to the things that I believe Leo Tolstoy is trying to point out as being the things that are most important in life. He does marry. He has 2 children, but he finds that they are more irritating to him than they provide a source of irritation to him rather than a source of joy. And so he tends to try to avoid them. But he wants the nice house, he wants the nice carriages, and he works extraordinarily hard to purchase those things for himself and his family. And he's very successful until when he turns about 45 or so years of age. He has an accident that's described really very, very simply. He seems to fall while hanging curtains in his new place of residence. And the fall is not described as being severe, but it does set off the chain of events that's going to lead to his eventual death and passing. Exactly what Tolstoy is describing as his illness is probably not super important. It kind of comes up like a floating kidney or some such. I think it's all very 19th century medical. It's unclear exactly what you're seeing, and I don't think Leo Tolstoy is interested in defining every bit of what that means. I think some internet site I read said that it may have been something like pancreatic cancer. But if you're reading the story and he falls off the symptoms described would be similar to that of pancreatic cancer. But if you're reading the story and you're seeing him fall from the while hanging curtains, it doesn't really add up. But the description of the death and dying process is well described, and I think it really is. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it before. I am a registered nurse, and I have taken to specializing in the past year or so into hospice. So that is my day job. Previous to that, I was medical surgical, and so I do have some experience with the death and dying process. And I think that Leo Tolstoy, without being scientific or deeply interested in being scientific, really provides an excellent insight into the psychology of someone who is dying. He goes through the stages of grief. He becomes angry. He denies his symptoms. And the further he gets, the more he begins to feel like everything that he had been working for in his life was perhaps all for nothing. You can't take your money, you can't take your riches, you can't take anything that you've earned here with you into the afterlife. There's got to be something more than that. Something built on something that's less physical, because the physical stays. It doesn't go. And I think he starts to come to terms with that as he is dying. He knows that he's dying. His family and doctor and those around him tend to be more, how do I put it? They deny quite a bit until the very end, and he becomes angry and upset specifically with his wife about this. He wants to be pitied. He wants to be petted on, but they assume that he's gonna just come out and be okay, and that's just not true. I think so. He comes to terms with it before many others do, but he still has these cycles where he thinks he's going to get better and he doesn't. And I think that's where the realism of Leo Tolstoy comes in. I mentioned in a previous video that in War and Peace, I believed that Pierre Bezukhov, the main character, or one of the chief many characters in War and Peace, was quite like this. Is that you think he is coming to a resolution when in fact it's just another step on his journey. And so Ivan Ilyich does quite the same thing. But eventually, through the help of one of his servants, who is a serf who works for him and who is willing to take care of him. He the serf recognizes that Ivan is dying and recognizes that he himself will someday die as well, and takes special care to take care of him because he wishes others to do the same for him in that time. Through that relationship that he develops, I believe Ivan tries to turn to something beyond himself, greater than himself, that he was his most genuine and real self when he was a child, before the worldly ambitions of his adolescence and adulthood came upon him. That love, charity, and morality are the sorts of universal constants, as he believes, that will transcend beyond his life. And at the very end, he expresses it as he is really and truly about to take his last breath. He expresses remorse and regret and attempts to apologize to his family. The words don't come out properly, but the text says that he who understands all did hear, or that's what's implied. I'm not quoting that exactly directly. I don't have it sitting in front of me as I'm talking. And so at that point, he takes his last breath, and the book abruptly ends. But of course, at the beginning of the novel, you were reading about the aftermath, and so that it kind of dovetails back into itself to be read in a loop if that's the way one would want to do that. So I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was very insightful, and I truly enjoyed it. I do not own a physical copy of this book, actually. I read it in my Delphi Classics edition, The Complete Works of Leo Tolstoy. I greatly recommend the Delphi Classics editions. They are exclusively digital, and this is why I love my digital library, because Delphi Classics will collect the entire corpus of these public domain authors and will put it all together in one excellently put together ebook, where you can find your place real easily. All the chapter markers are there. It's worth 99 cents to $1 for me to buy that in order to ensure that I've got everything in one place put together. So greatly recommend Delphi Classics for Kindle and Amazon and Apple Books, or whatever ebook you're using. What else? Yes, I enjoyed this book, and I'm looking forward to reading more of these short fiction February classics in the future. I think we are still going to talk about Macbeth coming up very soon. I'm reading a short book on Socrates now. I did just come back from a short trip to Texas to visit family, and I did want to show you what I picked up while there. It's just one book, but I was very, very happy to have it. I'm excited to dig into it. I've not dug too deep into it yet, but I plan to in the coming month or so, possibly. I got the Journals of Lewis and Clark from the Franklin Library. I thought it was just beautiful. We were at a local bookstore, and I just kind of had to pick it up. And I'm excited to be able to look into that. I have a biography of specifically Meriwether Lewis. I'll put that there for now. On the shelf, called Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose. I may try to read that first, but I do have an interest in the Corps of Discovery and their expedition, so I would love to learn more about that here before terribly long. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have you read The Death of Ivan Ilyich? Have you read any of Leo Tolstoy's works? Tell me what you think about him. I'd love to hear from you. Any likes, any comments I receive are very encouraging to me as I'm starting on this YouTube journey. And I hope to see you all again very soon. And I thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you.